Hi everyone, this is David Condon from Group A of the computer class, here to present to you our presentation for the project. A Doomsday Tube Dubious is the title of our film. We're going to be exploring why the 2012 theory is really just a myth, the science behind the theory, what the other side is saying, and what the real world consequences are for buying into the theory, socially and politically, and things like that. Just a little disclaimer before I start the video that this is in Office 2003, not Office 2007. The original PowerPoint was made in Office 2007. I had to convert it to Office 2003, and what that took away was a lot of the smart art and things like that. Some of the awesome stuff and each slide, the slide designing, is taken away. You can see the real Office 2007 presentation. It's going to be on our website, so if you want to check that out, that's fine. It's way more awesome than what I have here, but nevertheless, it didn't take out that much. So, moving on, our documentary, this is probably going to be a documentary, since it's probably going to be like anything you'd see on the Discovery Channel. It's obviously we talked about what it's about, 2012, and the theory, and things like that. The special effects that we're going to use, you see that down at the bottom. We'll need special effects to create computerized images of the situations that the supporters of the doomsday theory think will happen in 2012. So in other words, the other side might think that the world is going to explode, for instance. Just for a quick instance here. We need to animate what it's going to be like when the world explodes and why that wouldn't happen. So we'll need it for computerization to give good visual images for our viewers. And other than that, you'll see at the bottom that we'll probably need to any of the experts and scientists that we interview. We're going to have to label them with their name and their credentials and things like that, like anything you'd see on the History Channel or in documentaries. When people are interviewed, you show them their name and their credentials. So we're going to need special effects to do that. And the software that we're going to use is talked about in the next slide here. So moving on. Actually, this is a table of contents. Kind of an excuse to use smart art, but never mind. The computer software training, dismanufacture, and break-even analysis. So science and then financial. Basically two sides of this presentation. So moving on. Computer and software. Our computer that we plan on use is going to be an HP Pavilion P674OF. You see the system requirements that we're going to need: a 64-bit operating system, 7 gigabytes of RAM, 16 gigabytes hard disk space, Intel Core 2 Duo CPU, a 7200 RPM hard drive with dual layer CD DVD burners, OpenGL 2.0 compatible graphics card. These things, system requirements, are all based off of the requirements to run the software on the left side, starting with over here on the left, Adobe Photoshop CS5, which is around $700, Adobe Premiere CS5 $800, and Adobe After Effects, which is about $1,000. Other than that, we have Blender, which is a free software. I'll get to Blender in a minute, but the system requirements on the bottom left are based off the requirements to run these software. And also storing our video clips that we're going to be using with our high-tech camera that we have. We're going to need all these system requirements on the bottom left. So that's what we based our decision off there. Now, getting back to Blender. Blender is an absolutely great software that we found for the stuff we'll need to create computerized images and labels for any experts that we interview and things like that. The only problem is it's a little bit hard to use at first. You need to go through some software training, but it's free and it is really good for being free. It's really good. I've seen some people who do some crazy stuff with Blender. Even though it's free, it's really great. So we decided to go with that, and that's what we're going to be using to make our special effects. So moving on to the software training relating to Blender. For the training that is available for the systems that we have picked, we have Adobe Premiere CS5. That's about $1,000. This is found at www.softwaretrainingtutorials.com. We have URLs pretty much for all of our software training packages. Adobe After Effects CS5, that's about $50. There are also some workshops in New York City if you really want to go far with After Effects, but it's much more expensive, so that's out of the budget for us. Blender is very cheap on the software training. I mean, it's difficult to use, it takes a little while, but yeah, it's cheap. It's about $11. That's the official 2.3 Blender 2.3 guide. There's also a paperback book for about $40, Blender for Dummies. But for the most part, the trainings and tutorials for Blender are available free right on www.blender.org. So we'll probably be using that, but we'll probably be buying the PDF files for about $11. So we'll have to add that in there. We'll get to the financial side in later slides. So moving on. Disc manufacture and order fulfillment. We decide to buy a bulk package of 1,000 DVDs as they can be bought cheaply at the following hyperlink. That's Trepstar.com. Trepstar was an awesome website for us because of the great prices it has, which even included order fulfillment and shipping. So we got things like manufacturing, packaging, glossy CD, DVD with full color print. We got that all for around, for the manufacture of 1,000 DVDs, it'd be around $5,000 as you see in red there. So we got a lot of things from Trepstar. So we're thinking we're going to go with that. In later slides, you'll see the cost per unit is not that bad when using this plan. It's actually very good. We also plan to buy a labeling system with labels. The cost of the labeling system and labels would be around $330. So obviously we have to include that in the bulk price. That's going to be things like labeling each CD, making it good so it looks good in the store. Because that's at root what will make this thing sell. So